see a quick show of hands. How many people were with us at NAB? Yeah, that's it's about half the crowd. So I'm going to keep score. I'm going to tell you what I got right and what I got wrong. Literally. We're really just going to continue the discussion that I started at NAB this year. I'm new to the industry, and I thought it was important to come in having been in IT and telecom to, compare those experiences to what's going on today in broadcast technology. And there are some similarities and there's some differences. So I'll go back and do a quick refresher on what I prognosticated. And for us, it's turned out to be a bit of a validation of some of those points, but they're plot twists that I wanted to share with you. So I'll go through the 5 points of validation and share a couple of those plot twists. With me today, I think you remember at NAB we announced a renewed emphasis on our ad tech business. And with me today is Dave Villano. Dave, stand up, take a bow. Dave's the CTO of our ad tech business. Dave's an industry veteran. He was with Cablevision for now Altice for about 14 years, had an executive position there, was a CIO there. Left and went to Operative, sold that business to Syntec, and is quite a veteran, and he's spearheading some investment and depth that we're adding in that business. So Dave will share a few words about what the ad tech team is doing. And then many of you know Steve Reynolds, the president of our Playout and Networking division. We made a big bet at Imagine on IP-based technology, and that bet is starting to feel a little more like return on investment. So it's nice to see, when you feel like you're speculating, those headwinds kind of turning into tailwinds and getting some momentum behind you. And Steve will share more details about that. The other thing that I talked about at NAB was that we had committed to be on the innovation side of the two business school theories about what to do in an industry that's under pressure. 2017 was an interesting year, both for our customers. There was a lot of discussion about consolidation of those entities, and sure enough, you've seen that continue with major announcements this year. There was an announcement earlier this year about a merger in our part of the industry as well. And we have, I think we really did get this right, have dedicated ourselves to being innovators and sticking to what we're good at, and not necessarily thinking about consolidation as our path in the industry. Now, what did we get right about that? We have a major leading edge investment in technology that Steve's going to describe, where he's going to describe those tailwinds. What did I get wrong about the innovation? And I would tell you that I really thought that it was good enough just to have the technological lead. And what I've learned with another 6 months in the business is that we also have to innovate in how we do business, not just with technology. So we're going to share a couple of examples of where we're going to change how we do business to strengthen our partnership with customers and be a little more focused on what's important to them. Now, this is the exact slide that I used at NAB. And the major point that hit me when I came into the industry is that as a provider of technology, we've really done a great job of inventing. We've done a great job of creating product and getting it out in the market. But we weren't doing enough for customers to migrate to it. So I use the analogy of inventing this super highway where there's no speed limit. You can drive sideways or upside down if you want. It's wonderful if you can just get on the super highway. And so I got that right. I got the part about needing to help customers with implementation. What I didn't get right about it is that some of our customers are just not ready to take that step. So what do we do? What do we do for the customer that has other priorities in their business? So I'll answer those questions in just a minute. Now let me turn quickly to the 5 points of validation along this journey. And again, think of me as somebody who's come into this industry and is a student and really learning it and trying to apply what's worked in other businesses as we evolve here in this industry. Point of validation, our customers are under incredible pressure. They're getting squeezed by a change in technology. In our case, what we're involved in every day is going to IP-based technology. They're squeezed by a loss of viewership to different mediums if you're a broadcaster. And what I've learned after being here for 9 months is that I'm not competing with everybody that has a booth in this exhibition hall. Imagine is competing with our customers' number one problem, and that is total cost of ownership. And technology is a part of that answer, but it's not the complete answer. And so we're having to evolve our business as innovators. You know, we're having to innovate to fill that void and have more than just technology to offer to our customers. But on the point about technology, things have really turned for the positive in terms of momentum and a long period of investment. Being a pioneer has its benefits, and it can be challenging, but it can be challenging on the front end. But let me share some of the things that are starting to happen for us. In the last 90 days, we put 100 channels on the air with IP-based technology. We spent the summer going through a fairly exhaustive business planning process. And one of the things that we see is nearly, CEOs round up, a 58% compounded annual growth rate in our playout business alone in the IP space. That's considering the deals that we have under implementation and deals in our sales pipeline. So that was a reassuring message to take to our investors, and we see that going for three straight years. We've really found a great niche in the business. Again, I'm speaking about our playout products. We're the platform of choice for playout for the two largest media consolidations in the world. One of them is a corporate consolidation where the customer's merging, corporately. The other one is just an operational consolidation. And I realize I said just an operational converse. It is a huge undertaking, but our IP-based playout solution is the platform of choice there, and we think that's a pretty significant endorsement. Another thing that we're very proud of is that our networking products, albeit at 35% on an annual basis for the next 3 years, are very strong. And we are proud. Where is Matthias? Was very proud to have our networking products prominently featured during the World Cup broadcasts, and that took us right up to the wire for a deadline that wasn't moving. The World Cup was going to happen, and we were ready for that. So that's a little bit of what's happening, and is reassuring for us. Point number 3. Here's one that I got 50% right and 50% not so right, and I want to take a minute to kind of explain this graphic because it's fairly important. The upper left-hand part of the chart shows the projected revenues in our business, and I'm speaking of playout and networking now, just for the moment. And you can see it's a declining market. The bottom right-hand chart is the same graphic, just with line graphs, okay? And let me explain how that one breaks down. The green line is the progression for IP-based technology through the next several years. And like I said, we think that our growth exceeds the slope of this curve. So playout, 58% a year for 3 years. Networking, about 35% for 3 years compounded. But look at the red line. That's our baseband business. That's the industry's decline of baseband technology. And so I knew that we weren't doing enough corporately to assist customers with migration, going to the IP-based technology. So we've addressed that. Steve and I were just with our owners last month, and they approved the second largest investment other than acquiring Harris Broadcast for us to address a number of things. And one of them was the implementation of our IP-based technology. And that's, just to put it in simplistic terms, that's sort of the selfish part of migration. Yes, we're gonna fix that problem, but what are we gonna do for our customers that aren't that new sale of IP-based technology? And that's the other half of our summer of effort in working on our business plan. So what we've realized is that we're under the same kind of squeeze that our customers are undergoing. They're losing viewership. We're losing, a baseband stream of revenue. And through the strategic discussions, what we've realized is that we need to introduce a new set of services. We've been in the services business in terms of supporting our products. But during this week, with a number of customers in these conference rooms, and for the balance of the year, we're gonna be beta testing 3 new service offerings that address the needs of customers who may be too risk averse to go to IP right away. Some people like to buy into technology later on the maturity curve. We need to be a partner for that customer as well as the one who's ready to make a deal this quarter, right? What do we offer as a partner to that client? Our ad tech business, when I first came into the industry, it was clear that we had a software business that had all of the components to be a home run. We've got a great install base. Our customers are loyal. We have a great architecture for our next-gen products. We've got a lot going on, and it's pretty low-hanging fruit to convince our investors to take 10% of the top line and reinvest it in that business. So what Dave's going to talk with you about today are the things that we're doing with those funds. But I'm here to report to you that 10% of top line reinvested in the first quarter of this year is yielding results. And you can see it in our sales pipeline. It's 125% larger this month than it was in March of this year. And we think there's a real elasticity of demand, a good return on investment in this business, and we're going to continue to fund it and diversify our profile. My last key point goes back to the meeting that Steve Reynolds and I had, and that is a meeting with our investors this summer. A year ago, when I started talking to our owners, they were nervous. And so is every investor in any media company. Whether they're broadcast media or vendors supplying products to the industry. If you're an investor, you're wondering, where is your return in that chaos? How are you going to grow that business and build an asset? And we have come into a great equilibrium with our investors, and it was pretty easy to demonstrate excuse me, the returns on a very profitable software business. Not so much when you're showing graphs that have the slope going the wrong way with the numbers, right? So what we did is we explained the following thing. We're going to focus on the total cost of ownership with our customer base. That's a moral high ground where we think we can win 2 battles. The first one is to be the IP-based playout vendor of choice. We're going to focus on playout because, among other things, we have a great competitive lead there, but it drags $1.33 of revenue for networking and our other IP-based products for every dollar of playout revenue that we focus on. It's a great place for us to intensify our efforts. We'll continue to enhance and deliver the new networking products that we have, but that's what customers want to buy, and that's what we're going to focus on. The second thing is to fill a gap in our portfolio. Like I said, the new services that we're going to bring to market include vendor agnostic advice about how to extend the life of your current assets. Now, that's a little bit of a conundrum if you're in the business of selling new products. But you know, we've convinced ourselves as a team that that's the right thing to do, even for our new products, because we'll eventually win those deals. But we know our customers need help. They're under pressure, like I said, from a number of points. One of them is the age of their workforce. It's a retiring demographic, and we think we can step in and fill that void in many cases. So that story's resonated with our investors, and we're very proud to be here today, stronger than I think the company's been in the 5 years of history that I've had a chance to study. So I'd like to talk with you more during the Q&A period about that, and happy to stay for drinks. You guys are drinking, I'm drinking water. So happy to talk more about it later. But just to keep pace, because I know several of you flew in today, I'm going to turn the clicker over to Dave Villano, and welcome Dave to his first press conference. And be easy on him, he's a technology guy.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just briefly, wanted to introduce the new team that we're assembling here at Imagine. I'm here about 3 months now, so you know, to Tom's point, it's been a relatively new team, renewed focus on the products and services that we're focused on. I'm at the point now where I'm starting to get blamed for things, so I know I'm really part of the team now. With that, my counterpart, Rob Malcolm, is heading global sales. Fresh set of eyes for us in this space, and someone who has a keen eye for operations. Dave Hogan, who we brought over from MediaOcean, who has a long background in digital ad management platforms and data platforms, as well as Ron Bell, who worked with me both at Operative and Cablevision in digital ad platforms, in data platforms, and in big data and insight. So, you know, when we go over what we're looking at in the way of delivering ad tech innovations, you know, every customer has their stack, and the stack is complex, and it gets more complex all the time. And to the point Tom was making, you know, they're under increasing pressure to, you know, to get more with less. So the focus here is for us to cover in a way that's, you know, understandable, easy to implement, easy to integrate, our technology stack, which covers all of the bases. So we can be as holistic as we need to be, we can be as modular as we need to be in this new space, and really help our customers drive the cost of operation down and enhance their revenue position. And that's really a key as we start to go through all of the different products and how those products help them monetize. But from my perspective, and what I wanted to share here today is that it's as much thematic as it is product-based. And what I mean by that is that, you know, we really need to focus on being a modular next-gen platform, which is cloud-ready. I mean, that is the key for us. All of our customers are clamoring for this. They don't want to be in their own data center business anymore. They want open architectures, they want APIs, they want to be able to build alongside us, and they want to be able to buy other products and integrate with us. So having that open and modular environment for them is absolutely critical for our success, and kind of one of the first tenets that we focus on when we're developing products. And you know, an integration-ready ecosystem is absolutely key, right? We've been working with a lot of the MVPDs, the broadcasters, the MSOs. They've made it perfectly clear that they do like our products and services. They rely on us to run, in aggregate, $46 billion of their revenue through our platforms every year. But let's face it, there are a lot of areas where they have partnerships that either augment, supplement their systems, other platforms in which we're not in the market for currently, and we have to interoperate with that. So, you know, a focus on integration-ready platforms are absolutely key, and that's another, you know, area that we're really ramping up on. And you know, next is insights, right? Data, making data actionable, right? And I mean, when you look at the industry today, everybody is looking for data. And in order to make data information, that data has to be actionable. And really the key here is, and that goes hand in hand from a scheduling perspective, the ability to take that data, utilize their audience segments, target their audience segments, optimize the inventory so that they know exactly where to place that inventory, when, and for how much, while we automate all of the execution on the traffic systems and the decisioning systems. So that we've heard loud and clear with a lot of the customers we've spoken to, and that's something that we're all in on. Data-enabled targeting, a little bit on that. We have been relatively quiet in our dynamic ad insertion and our over-the-top play, and that's going to change. I mean, that is the future here. We've got a really capable set of products from encoding. When you look at the play-out network side of the house and the play-out, the encoding, the manifest manipulation, our ability to dynamically make decisions on ad placement, those are technologies that we're really going to make key to our focus, because those are the future for us and for our customers. And last but not least, and I think, and this is always the least sexy part of the discussion, is billing, right? IC billing, cross-platform billing, is an actual pillar to our products, because, ad placement, execution, scale means nothing without having the ability to collect on the revenue that you're driving. And that has really been the cry from all of our customers across the board. They want to have aggregated billing. They want to have details in that bill so that they can, truly get that invoice out, have their revenue recognized, and less challenges on the turnaround on that stuff. And integration with all of the digital platforms as well as the linear platforms were key for them. So we heard them loud and clear. Our XG billing product is just that. We have integrations with our existing platforms as well as our new modular approach, which has kind of a broken down, I would say, more of a modular integration and capability. And then last but not least, our integration partners. We realize that we have to extend into different areas of the ecosystem, and our partnerships with Matrix and SpotX do just that in the way of workflow for CRM, and in the way of programmatic integration for demand-side platforms and other supply-side platforms. So in general, the message I want to leave everybody with is that we are in an open stance from an architecture perspective. We're focused on integration with a robust set of APIs. We are breaking down the platform to be more modular. We're going to consolidate those pieces that don't make sense in the product portfolio as we rationalize our product stack, and truly pull together a consolidated ecosystem that makes sense for our customer base. And with that, I will hand the clicker over to Steve.
I'd like to continue on a couple of the themes that Tom and Dave have brought up here this evening and talk about how those ideas are translating into our playout and networking business. Tom mentioned what's going on in the portion of the market that really impacts Imagine, what's going on with the total addressable market. But I think there's an important counterpoint there, which is what's going on in the video market in general. We do see the video market as a growing market. If you look at all of the segments that make up the monetization of our customers, so the broadcasters, the MVPDs, the MSOs, really anybody that's in the business of selling television, it is still continuing to grow. We see subscription revenues going up, we see advertising revenues going up, and in fact, every segment that we've analyzed, there is growth in. There are really only two ways to make money on television, right? You can either sell the content, that's your subscriptions and your transactionals, or you can sell the audience that's watching that content, and that's ad-supported television. Both of those businesses are robust businesses. And this is part of what Tom and I talked with our investors about over the summer. If we can find the right way to help our customers get on this growth curve, it can only mean good things for Imagine. So we're really focused on trying to help our customers find ways to move in the right direction. The ways that we're doing that are really through the innovation that we bring into the market. A lot of it's technical innovation, and there's a whole stand here of demos that I encourage everyone to take a look at and understand how we're bringing that innovation to the customer base. But a lot of it's focused around the suite of products that you see listed up here. The products that we're bringing to market for integrated and cloud playout, and our Versio product is the flagship there. Tom mentioned, we've launched 100 channels on these IP-based playout systems just in the last 90 days, and that pace is accelerating. We're really starting to see market momentum move in our direction, and we think that's because of the innovation that we're bringing into that segment. With our processing products, that's our encoders and our file-based and live-based processing products, similar innovation. What we're helping our customers do there is automate their workflows better. We're helping our customers build multi-platform solutions that handle all of the different kinds of media and all of the emerging formats that are coming along for multi-platform distribution. That's necessary for them to grow their business, but they can't increase their expense in that area. They've got to find ways to very efficiently and very effectively support these multiple platforms without adding a lot of hardware, without adding a lot of software, and without adding a lot of people. Optimized workflows are essential for our customers to be able to prosper. Routing and multi-viewing is another area where we've introduced quite a lot of innovation. Much of that you're going to see focused around what we've done with SMPTE 2022 and SMPTE 2110. These hybrid IP networks that are emerging give our customers a degree of flexibility that they just never had in the SDI world. It gives them the ability to build their facilities more quickly, operate those facilities more effectively, and add support for new platforms as their business demand changes. And then finally, our workflow platform, which we believe is one of the key differentiators of what Imagine has brought to market. You guys have heard us talk about the Xenium platform for the last couple of years. That's our microservices-based workflow platform. Most of the products that we build in the IP area are built on top of this Xenium platform. This is not just an interesting piece of technology. This is the toolkit that Imagine uses to build our products on top of. Versio, Selenium 1, Selenium Flex, Epic, all of those things are built on top of our Xenium microservices platform. This is really key for us. We're starting to see the industry understand why that microservices development and deployment model is so important. The scale that it brings and the pace that it brings to launch new features and launch new products and launch new business models really changes the way that the industry thinks about building products and deploying products. And we have an unquestionable lead in that area. We've seen press releases over the course of the last couple of days of some of our competitors announcing their microservices platforms. They're now ready to perform proof of concept projects with their microservices platform. We've been doing this for 5 years. We have learned more about how to build these products, how to deploy these products, how to support these products in the last 5 years than anyone else in the industry. We're at a point where we're actually doing these things. We're not just proving these things, we're not just talking about these things. We are pushing this technology out at a rate of 100 channels every 90 days. That's reflected in the momentum that we see in our customer wins. These are some of the design wins that we've just recently announced. And you can see that we're winning projects across the entire landscape. We're doing complete system builds in Greenfield. We're doing large-scale hybrid environments with major customers. We're doing playout center builds. The Media to Sud project is a particularly interesting one because that was a greenfield. That's a company that was not in the broadcast business, needed to very quickly enter that space, and they chose Imagine as the technology partner because they knew how fast we could move and how fast we could customize for them to support their operational workflows. We're doing IP-based master control facilities. That's what's going on at TV Azteca. Bringing IP into that master control environment brings so much flexibility and so much scale to what used to be a very baseband-centric environment. And then, of course, doing next-gen disaster recovery. And there are some people that look at the IP playout and the virtualized playout, and they just recognize that the obvious application for that is DR. Anytime you need the ability to very quickly spin up channels and very cost-effectively spin up channels in a DR environment, IP and virtualized playout is exactly the right answer for that, and we have a couple of interesting design wins in that area. So following up on Tom's business update, the areas that we're focused on are listed here. And Tom said it very well. We're not trying to be all things to all people. We're not trying to be a generalist. We're not going to be the Radio Shack of the broadcast industry. We're going to focus on the things that we're really good at, and that's these things. We're good at automation. We're good at production. We're good at playout. We're good at processing. We're going to focus on being even better at those things and bringing the advantage of our technology and our expertise to customers that want to partner with us in order to deploy those solutions. That's how we're going to participate in this optimization around TCO. Instead of competing on the basis of what do our products do, we're going to compete on the basis of what can we do for our customers to make them better. Those TCO opportunities fall into a couple of broad categories. The first one is transition. Many of the customers that we're talking to right now are asking us how, through this IP transition and how, through this technology transformation, they can improve the TCO of their business. We're talking to those customers about supporting them with programs for migration, using the expertise that we have, using all of the work that we've done around the world on these first-generation systems, bringing that to customers and helping them get up and running in a more effective model as they make their technology transition. That's also going to include advice about how to do upgrades, advice about how to do the migration, and bringing that expertise directly to the customer in the form of a consulting engagement. The second way that we're going to help our customers with their TCO is by helping them compete. That means that we need to give them ways to ramp up their business in an easy fashion so that they can spin up channels when they need them, they can migrate to platforms when they need those, and in some cases, we can even explore pay-as-you-go models with those customers. Disaster recovery is a great example of that, where the customer only wants to pay when they're generating revenue off of those platforms. Because of the flexibility of our technology stack, because of the flexibility of our deployment models, we have a unique opportunity to license to people only the technology they need, only when they need it. And then the third way that we're going to engage with our customers on improving their TCO is to help them own their solution. Not buying a black box off the shelf, but really participating in the optimization of a solution that works for them. We're going to do that by bringing our microservices platform to the table and letting customers design their own blueprints, work with Imagine to customize the blueprints and the components that they're using to run their operations. And we're going to give them our full support to do that. In some cases, that's going to include integration work. In some cases, that's going to be designing custom workflows. And in some cases, that's going to be helping the customer look at the way that they do things and look at the way that they can enhance that through automation. And we'll bring those things to the table in the form of new technology. So I hope everyone gets a chance to look at some of the demos that we have here. A lot of the technology and a lot of the innovative ideas that I've just talked about are on display in the stand. We've got our product management team and our demo team here to answer your questions about that. We're very excited about everything that we have to show here at IBC, very excited about the transformation that the industry is going through, and thanks everyone.
Okay, so to summarize, I wanted to share with you the reasons for our theme this year at IBC. It's about modernizing and optimizing to realize the future of TV. Modernizing, as you've heard, is all about modernizing operations with next generation solutions that are open and standard-based. Optimizing is about optimizing the business of our customers by reducing the total cost of ownership, increasing their revenue opportunities, and providing them with new services and migration strategies to help them navigate through these transitions. And so with that, they will realize the benefits of the future of TV today. And indeed, what we're showing here and demonstrating is all our technology being used live. So that's why we say, as Steve pointed out, that the entire booth is the demo. And one of the other things that we are doing is not just showing the technology here, but we also are sharing with our customers as they meet here with us and between themselves as well. We're sharing real life deployments. So to earlier points that were made, it's not that we are just trying these new technologies. They're being deployed and people want to learn from each other how that's going. Another very important investment for us, and in fact commitment, I should say, is our participation in the IP Showcase initiative. It's still very important for us to demonstrate our commitment to standards, interoperability, 2110 IP-based solution. So we are also showing our products working with others on the IP Showcase booth. And that includes products such as the Selenium Network Processing, the Epic Multiviewer, and Versio, to name a few. And so not only are we showing products, but we'll also have our experts. And that's another thing that you may have noticed, that we want to bring to the market our expertise, and our experts make their knowledge available to you all and our customers as well. Okay, so with that, would like to open up for Q&A. And so if the speakers, previous speakers want to come over here, and we'll take questions. Thank you. I know you're tired, but don't be shy. So wait, we'll get a microphone.
We'll get you a mic.
Yep.
I know, that's true.
Go on.
Okay. Hi, Steve. About the new services you mentioned, to own your own solution. Those they're based on microservices. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. Using the Xenium toolkit, our customers will have the ability to customize blueprints and also to introduce their own components. That's one of the great things about Xenium, is because it is an SDK, it's possible to build custom components or to do custom integration of components with systems outside of the Imagine ecosystem.
So then you're okay with them designing their own system, like you just mentioned?
We are, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so there's got to be a core of commonality, right? Otherwise, it's not a product. But what we think we need to do is to standardize our development around that core, but enable customers to finish the snowflake. Right? There's no return in the snowflake business to us.
Right.
You know, we'll make our living on that core. The Xenium differentiation, though, I think needs to be expounded upon, because we refer to it sort of glibly as IT people as an SDK, you know, a development toolkit, but it's two things. It's a toolkit and it's a library. Those microservices have been populated now for 5 years. That library is big and it's rich and it's ready to go. 3 years ago, you know, we're still putting books in the library. And so now, when you talk about microservices and a platform and a lead in the marketplace, empowering customers with the tool and that library is the reality that we've gotten to. That's why we think we've got a big lead in the playout space.
And empowering customers with our expertise, right? We're not just gonna, you know, expect a customer to go build their own optimizations. They need help. Right. And that's part of what we're gonna offer. We're gonna offer the expertise and the assistance to ensure that that customer gets the right solution for their problem.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, staying on that topic for a minute. Thank you. Staying on that topic for a minute. When it comes to the microservice concept and what you're talking about with integration and everything, I guess the biggest challenge where all of that is concerned is to be able to work in that environment once you've adapted to it. And I'm wondering how much artificial intelligence you're bringing in to analyze and understand all the different little pieces that people can pull together for any given solution, so that, you know, they're not having to constantly ferret through all these things manually to put together a solution.
So up to this point, we've only done a couple of experiments with AI and machine learning. It's not built into the core of the system. It's something that we'll continue to look at. And it's certainly something that we see as being promising in the future to help our customers better automate, but it's not something that we're selling right now.
Not even talking so much about selling, but just from the standpoint of, I guess another way to ask my question is, how do you manage all these microservices and all these applications in a way that's fluid and automated?
I actually kind of think you're onto something. And I wouldn't call this artificial intelligence per se, but the agent that runs.
Yeah.
The agent that runs. Remember, the Xenium is a developer's toolkit, and its advantages are you can kind of create a workflow like a flow chart, and then drag components and drop it on a piece of functionality, and that is a microservice, right? And then when you deploy the software, it's the library and your workflow is connected by something called the agent, and it has the intelligence in real time to call the right components into the processor, you know, from that library of microservices. So I guess, you know, you would have to call that artificial intelligence. It's how we automate, you know, or connect the dots between the repository. Now, when we think about the technical version of artificial intelligence, what Steve and I have been discussing, and we had this conversation most recently with IBM, is how to put artificial intelligence in our support centers.
Mm-hmm.
As we expand our base of playout adoption, more and more support customers, how do we become proactive, you know, when we see signals about something that's happening that historically leads to a certain outcome? How do we become more than just the firefighters that fix the problem once it manifests itself, and how can we use artificial intelligence in this conversation, Watson, to detect problems and inform us and allow us to call the customer proactively? So that's a little bit down the road, but it is a relevant item, and I agree it's important in the industry.
But that's a real TCO enhancement, right? Being able to prevent problems as opposed to repairing problems. That's what support should be. And that's, as Tom said, those are the discussions we're having.
Go ahead.
Hey, you got the mic.
I guess so.
Possession is 9/10 of the law, Tom.
He gets it next, I guess. So there are two parts of your business you're saying that you're focusing on: the channel origination, play out, and networking. So you guys, you know, certainly have a long experience in the play out and origination, that side of things. Networking, especially going to IP, there's a lot less differentiation. It's a lot more. It has been a lot more commodity based. Are you, you know, so is the networking side a means to an end for you, or what are the particular innovations you might be bringing on that side?
So we do think there's a lot of value that we add on the networking side, right? As time moves forward and more of that goes to IP, yes, of course, you'll see the fabric of the network be commoditized, but the intelligence that we bring in on top of that fabric in order to optimize, you know, what's a fairly off-the-shelf networking platform and make it work for broadcast, make it work for live production, stitch it into a truck or stitch it into a major sports venue or put it into a broadcast center. There's a lot of IP that's necessary to do that. And that's the thing that our team has been focusing on. Yeah, the orchestration software is a great example. Epic Multiviewer is another great example, right? Building a smarter multiviewer that's actually able to work across a hybrid facility and use compressed signals and uncompressed signals and start to build monitoring into that as well. That's where we're going to add value.
Yeah, and you're just switching so much more data. You know, your specialty, the storage space. Yes, networking as a science universally is commoditizing, and you know, a lot of vendors can explain what that's like. But this industry is still unique in the amount of data that we move around, and in real time, you know, the amount of data. So our networking products are going to be relevant for a long time.
Yep.
Andrew from Asia Pacific.
Yes, Andrew.
Okay. How to get more for less via microservices is very sexy, very attractive, but in Asia, I doubt that there are very many broadcasters in Asia Pacific region who are savvy enough to go for COTT, mix and match of the shelf data to really produce a smooth or hybrid systems. So I'm not doubting Imagine microservices, but to assure broadcasters in Asia Pacific, which is a growth area, is Imagine producing, going into consultancy services as this is the way to go, or are you working with what you call system integrators to promote your microservices?
Yeah, let me try to break that down. I'll go in reverse order. We're going to continue to work with systems integrators, and in your region in particular, that's an important part of our business. We move almost 2/3 of our products through integrators that are on site, assisting in the implementation of those products. So our consulting, our advisory services are not going to compete with that. That's an integral part of our blood flow. So that's not going to change. Are the Asian customers, is the Asian market ready for microservices? I don't think microservices is the headline. I think the headline is that our IP-based products, Playout in particular, virtualize environments, infrastructure that have to be replicated so many times. And I'll give you an example from a US customer that's implementing our Playout solution. They have 2 floors of rooms about that size, 10 feet by 20 feet, with 2 engineers in each room and maybe 20 monitors. Mm-hmm. And that operation goes 24/7. That is being replaced by our virtualized system in a conference room about the size. All 20 of those in a conference room about this big, with about 6 engineers that watch that around the clock. And so it's the virtualization of those 20 tiny little rooms across one footprint that delivers the total cost of ownership savings to our client. I wish that I could just get paid on real estate savings, because I'm not charging enough for software. So I think that's where, and the fact that microservices makes that technology easier to deliver and modify is a subtitle to the overall business value.
Okay, question. I don't know if this is on or not. Question is,